Hi, my name is Jesse at Trash Panda, and this is episode 1 of making a brand new mid-range. Over the coming months, we're gonna share the entire process of making a new disc. From prototyping, to building the mold, to whatever unknown problems we might run into, to production. And with this one, we're trying something new that we've never done before, so I don't really know how it's gonna work out. I'm nervous, I'm excited, and we're gonna do the whole thing together. Yeah. So this disc, which still doesn't have a name, starts with Protoflight. In case you missed our recent video about them, they're the ones who are using a CNC lathe to make incredibly consistent, accurate, and precise discs. And I think there's so many potentials for these discs, but when I really zoom in on it from Trash Panda's point of view, it solves a major issue that we run into. Let me show you. So when we have a model for a disc, one of the things I didn't really think about was how impossible it is to imagine holding and feeling a 3D design. So you really have to make a tangible version. And there's pretty limited options here. You can basically 3D print a version, or you can just send it, make the mold, spend all the money, and see if it feels good in the hand. And I don't like that version. So we went with 3D printing originally. This is the 3D printed inner core, and it's using ABS plastic. So you're not really getting a feel for the plastic itself as much as the geometry of the rim and the hand feel of the design. Actually, we even tried 3D printing out of TPU, but even though the TPU is flexible, you're really not getting a taste for the flight because these don't fly at all like the inner core. So at one point, instead of printing all of these massive hunks, we swapped over to printing these pie slices, which basically give you that feel, don't use as much plastic, and are way quicker to print. But this still only gets you so far. Like, it feels ozone-y, but at the end of the day, you don't actually get the feel for an ozone. And I also have no idea how these fly. So that's a lot of words, but basically all I'm trying to say is that it's so hard to go from a design in 3D that you're looking at on a computer to be able to actually feel what that prototype is going to be like, which is so risky because you can spend so much money and time on a prototype that sucks. And then one day, on the PDGA approval page, I think it was last year, I saw a CNC made disc and my mind went wild. Basically what was going through my head was, what if the Protoflight process, what if that technology is so perfect that you can take a 3D model, you can actually feel what it's going to feel like, throw it like it's going to throw, see the flight, everything, and then design a mold and get that same part out. That would be crazy. So that's what we're doing. But this whole thing, which we don't even know how it's gonna shake out, there's a lot of unknowns and we just wanna bring you along for the whole thing, has a pretty big question mark still. And that's that we're gonna make a prototype and we're gonna have this model, this prototype, but then when we go to make the mold, we have to actually project and calculate the shrink because as we talked about at length in one of our recent videos, different plastics and different injection parameters cause different shrink rates. So we have to calculate our anticipated shrink rate for that disc so that then the final product matches the original prototype. And if we can do all of that, being take a design, make a mold, calculate what it'll actually end up being like, and then make a disc that matches to the T the original design, that's gonna be massive, at least for us. So how many videos is this series gonna be? How long is it gonna take us? I have no idea, neither do you. We're doing it together. So I guess we should just start at the beginning and design a new disc. If you're familiar with Trash Panda, then you probably know we have our core lineup, like our 3 discs that we make out of 100% recycled plastic. The inner core, the dune, and the ozone. And at this point, that's our core lineup. Now we also have our collaboration series, which is another line we're super excited to continue to build, where we work with other manufacturers to make sustainable discs. And you probably know of that because of the extraterrestrial 2 and this one. So this next disc is going to go into the core lineup. Now we said it for years, it was putter, mid, fairway to build out a sustainable starter set first. But after that, we can kind of go anywhere. For a while I thought it was going to be distance driver because, well, why not? It's the logical progression. But then we had this completely unexpected encounter and we started to think of potential other options. And when you look at the Trash Panda line, you have a neutral 2-speed, a neutral to understable mid, and an understable fairway driver. And if we continue to count the collaboration series, which we all do because these are the discs we bag, then you also have something that could be either an overstable distance driver or an overstable fairway driver, depending on who you are. When you look at all of that together, I think there's just this one slot that's clearly missing, and that is overstable mid. So I called Chris and we pretty quickly came up with an overstable mid design. I knew I wanted something that was dead flat. I knew I wanted it to be something you could trust in a headwind, that you could grab backhand and forehand. It just had to be all reliable. So we sent it to Protoflight and, well, I genuinely can't express how excited I am about this. But I know what you're thinking, how the heck does it fly? And luckily, I filmed my very first throw with it to give you just the most genuine reaction of my thoughts. And unluckily, I deleted that footage somewhere along the line, which absolutely sucks. But I was able to surprise Kyle and Tom with the disc and got their first reactions. Kyle.
What?
I did not tell him this was happening.
No, you did not. Oh, I love the diameter. I'm a sucker for that. Holy cow.
Do you love the bead?
I'm not a huge bead fan, but this doesn't feel bad. It's got the small rim and the small diameter makes it feel amazing.
Well, we've got 2% battery. I think you should probably throw it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I want.
All right, Thomas.
Giving it a shot.
Welcome back to town.
Thank you.
You're actually not here to throw that disc.
What? Get out of here. What? No way. What? What is this? Are you kidding me? Wow. Oh my God. I like that. How have you kept this from me? That's messed up. That's real messed up. So it's beefy. It's so nice.
So there you have it, our prototype mid. By the way, completely unnamed. I guess I should say between approach and mid, TBD exactly on where it's gonna line up. But if you know our naming convention and have ideas for names, then name ideas are welcome. So we're not exactly sure if this prototype will end up flying exactly like the final molded disc, but we wanted to show you how it flies so you have a baseline and then we can see where that final disc ends up. So to finish out, since I am so dumb and somehow deleted my first throws with it, I want to give you a final flight test here in this field. And actually it's not just in this field because I recently threw them both at sea level and even higher elevation. First up, here's just full power backhand flat for me. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the final product we're hoping to have in the 170 to 172 range, but these prototypes are 167. So full power at elevation with 167 grams might end up looking exactly like full power at sea level with max weight. I digress, you just want to see the throw. I think I even maybe had slight angle on that, if not perfectly flat. And you can see it just fights immediately. Like I feel like I could grab that disc in a headwind and have full confidence, which is just so nice. Let's try Anheuser. Test number 2, 8,000 feet above sea level. is gonna be great. Test number 3, sea level. To be fair, there was one other thing we had to do in all of this, which was make sure that our design actually fit inside of Protoflight's blank. Basically, the way they decided to make their discs is they have this blank made, like a mid-range blank or a driver blank, and it's this big hunky disc. Like, it feels insane. I think it's like 300 grams or something. So for example, they can have their driver blank made, and then they can carve out the CNC plus, the CNC minus, the CNC, all out of that one blank, which is pretty cool. So we just had to make sure that our mid-range blank fit in there. And I personally am a huge fan of design constraints, and I wish disc golf manufacturers would talk about them more, because I'm sure there's a lot of discs on the market that have certain features that really just trace back to like weird reasons that were unique at the time and would make for such an interesting story. Like the inner core, if you didn't already know, has a bored flat top. And the literal reason for that is I was in my garage making discs and I thought, you know, I'm probably gonna have to cool this thing upside down on a table. I might as well make it flat. That's it. So needless to say, this prototype has a very small and subtle dome to it so that it would fit inside of their blank. When we make the final disc, it'll be bored flat, and I think we'll still be able to compare everything, but the more you know.